Hello everyone. So in continuation with our constraint layout, today we are going to see one another element that is very important, right? So that particular element is known as the guideline, right? So what is the use of guideline, right? So to simply understand the use of guideline, here I have three buttons, right? So if I'm going to give the constraint to this button, right? So right now this is my parent. Okay, let me open the component tree. Okay, so right now this is my parent. So I'm giving constraint to this and I'm just going to give that 32, right? Similarly, if I have another button, I just want the same constraint to that. So 32 again. And I have one another button. So same constraint I want to apply to that, then it is again 32, right? So right now you observe that these are the three buttons, right? And all three buttons I'm giving the margin of equal 32 because I want all that button align in the same way, right? So here is the use of guideline, right? So instead of providing all these three buttons individual margins, right? You can take up a guideline. You add the guideline and you just set the one particular margin and it will applicable, right? So let's see how we can do that, right? So the first of all here you observe that this is a particular symbol, right? And here you can see vertical guideline and horizontal guideline. So there are two types of guideline you can provide. So we'll see both of them. So right now I'm just giving the vertical guideline because I want all this button to be aligned as a vertical, right? So I'm just going to give this, I'm going to add this particular guideline over here, right? So right now I think it is not visible first time whenever I have added, right? But when I click on this from the component tree, so it is visible over here. So you can observe the things also in a blueprint, right? It is visible in a more accurate way. So here you can see the default margin of this guideline is 20, right? And here you can also see that layout constraint guide begin, it's a 20 dp. Okay. Another noticeable point over here is that this is arrow. So right now this is aligned to the left side. So if I want to change the direction of this particular guideline, so I can just click on this and over here I'm just clicking on this arrow and it is now at the right side, right? So from right side, now it will consider the margin. So it's a 391, right? Again, if you click on this, then it will show you the percentage, right? So this is the percentage value over here. So how you can change? So here again, you can use this particular thing, right? So here, suppose if I want 50%, right? So I can write 0.5 over here and just press the enter. Then my guideline is in the 50%, right? So it is related to the center. This particular 50% margin is related to parent. Okay, right? So from here also you can move this guideline like this. Okay, right? So now let's just see the use of it, how you can use this guideline in a more accurate way, right? So right now it is a left side. I want all this button to align 32 dp, right? So I'm just right now going to delete all the constraints over here, whatever assigned. I'm just putting all these buttons haphazardly, right? And yes, I'm just going to click this guideline and I'm setting it as a 32 dp, right? So now my guideline will be at the 32 dp. Now simply what I need to do over here, I just need to provide the constraint to this button to the guideline instead of the parent, right? So you can observe over here, all these three buttons are there. Okay, so now all these three buttons are aligned, right, with the 32 dp margin. So instead of providing individual margin, you can just use the guideline for the alignment purpose, right? So it's a very good idea whenever you have a very complex situations, right? So now suppose if I move the guideline, then you can observe all these three. Suppose I want all these three in a particular in a 50 in the center, right? So I'm just going to the percentage and just going to click as a 0.5 and you can see my all three buttons are aligned to these particular situations. Okay, right? So here you can see right now we just stick to the 32 dp over here, and you can see all the buttons are moving right now over there. Similarly, you can also add the horizontal guideline, guys, right? So here is the horizontal guideline, and you can see the same usage, same scenario over here, right? So this is the horizontal guideline. You can see I can move that particular guideline like this, right? Now I can provide the simply constraint to this button to horizontal guideline, so you can observe the thing, right? So instead of this, I'm just going to create one another button, right? And I'm just going to provide the horizontal guideline over here. I'm just going to create one another vertical guideline, right? Guideline number 4, and I'm just putting it over here, right? And here you can see I can change the DP to 32 DP. So for the equal alignment, now you can see it's an actual alignment, right? So now I'm just going to give the constraint to this particular thing over here, right? So now you can observe that how these guidelines are very useful, guys, right? So if you move this, right, so you can also observe that buttons are also moving down at the same style, right? So this is a very useful, guys, right? Whenever you want the ultimate alignment, right, to your particular views, right? And remember that guideline is one another, you can say the element. So you can observe the thing over here, like click me to the split view so you can understand. Here you can see, guys, this is the guideline, right? So it's a one element like button and all that. Okay, and here whatever margin we are assigning, so that margin is also there. From here also you can change it, right? Suppose if I want 50 dp, then you can provide the 50 dp, right? Right now I'm keeping it at a 32 dp. So similarly, you can observe that which are the orientation, what is the orientation of the current guideline. So it is a vertical, right? So from here also you can change it from vertical to horizontal, right? So, and whenever you run this code, guys, right, so these particular guidelines are not visible, right? So it is only visible in the design section, right? So don't worry about these linings, right? So whenever you run the code, then you will see all your particular buttons at the same place, right? If you are not providing the constraint to these buttons, right, then automatically it will be at the 0 0 position, right? But once you have provided this particular constraint using the guideline, then all the views are at the same page, right? So here you can see if you run the code, right? So I'm running the code to show you guys how this particular thing works, right? So here is my emulator is running. Okay, so once you run the code, then you can observe that particular thing in this emulator, that all the views are at the same stage. Okay, so you can see over here the output, right? So it looks very much aligned, right? So that's it for this video, guys. We will see another group of elements in a next video. Thanks for watching.